All right. Hi, everybody. We are back, and hopefully
Hi.
without
Hi,
any
guys.
background music and score this time. So yeah, sorry about that technical glitch. We're still trying to figure out who turned down the music in our end. So I think everybody loves the Cherry and Timber Talk, intro song by Rainburn. So yeah, Rainburn, you have some followers. Check out. so, yeah. Before we start off today, IPL squad analysis part two. Just one information issued in public interest. It's still a Wednesday. It's not a Saturday evening. In case you were wondering that, did we, fast track to Saturday today? No, we're doing our first midweek show. So welcome everybody. We have Mahesh, we have Vignesh, we have
Hi.
Sidharth, and we have Yogesh.
Hi.
All right, great to see you guys. And last week we did four teams, analysis of four teams, and the squad analysis plus what would we think will be our playing 11. So this week we are going down south. We were up north in India last week,
Yeah.
east and north. So today is kind of west and south. So we have Mumbai Indians, we have CSK, we have Sunrisers Hyderabad, and we have RCB. All right. So I'll give Sidharth the first go today. Let's start
Sure.
off with what Sidharth has in store. And I think you're going to do Sunrisers Hyderabad. Okay, Sidharth, talk us through the squad
Sunrisers
and
Hyderabad.
let us know what's your playing 11 out of this.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, before we get to the playing 11, I think
Mhm.
Sunrisers Hyderabad has a team that has seen, or let's say, that has seen grown its popularity in the last few years. I
Yep.
think it's a team that has been built around, I would say, three pillars, and
Mm-hmm.
that is David Warner, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, and the leggy from Afghanistan, Rashid Khan.
Mm.
I think it's been more about these big players. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if I could get to their playing 11, please.
Okay. All right. There you go.
Yeah. So I think the story was the last year's story was we all saw that Warner and Bairstow dominating the opposition. I think we still remember their twin hundreds against RCB at Hyderabad. So this year also, I somehow feel that sticking with the combination of Warner and Bairstow can has the thing of doing wonders. And at the very same time, we saw that once after Warner and Bairstow,
Yep.
there is some kind of a hole. Of
Mm.
course, the middle order last year also it didn't do that much well, and
Yep.
this year I think they've had some good buys in the likes of Virat Singh, Priyam Garg, and
Mm.
there's a guy from Jammu and Kashmir also. So
Yep.
I think having Virat Singh at three,
Mm-hmm.
I saw him personally, playing
Okay.
for Jharkhand while batting at number three. He was
Mm-hmm.
also 50 or
Okay, Sid, I think we
60
are losing you in between. Probably losing you in between. Do you want to get out and come back again, if that is okay with you? Can you hear us? All right, let me just try and remove him and add him back. Can you hear me, Siddharth?
Yeah, am I audible?
All right, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah.
yep.
So basically, I think even last year we also saw that after
Oopsie, we lost him. Okay, we'll just wait for him to come
Virat Singh.
back. Yep, you there?
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
okay. You're okay. Yep.
Okay. So I think after Warren and Bairstow, we saw that there's a big hole,
Yep.
and it's a kind of a weakness that we even saw last year.
Mm-hmm.
Someone like Ridhiman Saha, who could have
Mm-hmm.
let's say who is possibly a more safe wicket keeper than Johnny Bairstow. But
Okay.
having a full established batsman at number three who is pretty young can also,
Yep.
I would say, boost the batting lineup. No disrespect to Riddhiman Shah as a batsman. He has done well for Kings
Mm.
11 Punjab. But I think having
Mm.
someone like Virat Singh, who is, I would say, is still pretty much in good form. He did well for
Mm.
Jharkhand in the last year's Syed Mushtaq Ali Trophy and the Vijay Hazare Trophy.
Yep.
Could do wonders for SRH. And then having
Mm-hmm.
Manish Pandey, I would say the new Manish Pandey. I think he has
Mm.
this tendency of taking the game deep now. What we saw
Yep.
when he batted for Indian cricket team in their last few series against New Zealand and West Indies.
Hmm.
So having
Hmm.
him at number 4, I think he can play that sheet anchor role, and the likes of
Hmm.
Vijay Shankar, Mohammad Nabi, and Abhishek Sharma can revolve around him. Basically, can revolve their batting around him. And then
Hmm.
Mohammad Nabi, we also saw that he did really well in the Caribbean Premier League with both bat and ball. And then, when we come to their bowling, Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I think he really needs to stand up because he hasn't played much cricket since the 2019 World Cup. And with him doing well, that's what we saw in 2016 also, did actually wonders for Sunrisers Hyderabad. They went on to win their maiden title. So his
Yep.
form once again this year will be very crucial to their chances. And apart from Siddharth Kaul, he also didn't do well this season. There would be high hopes from him. And then I think it's Sandeep Sharma, Khalil Ahmed, and this one thing that one name I would like to add here is Shahbaz Nadeem, because
Hmm.
we all know that there could be those slow pitches in UAE. So
Hmm.
having the trio of Nabi, Rashid, and Nadeem in some of the
Yep.
matches could
Yep.
actually make SRH pretty more lethal. So yes, they have a very fiery top order. They have a
Yep.
good bowling attack, but yes, Bhuvneshwar Kumar and the likes of Siddharth Kaul need to step up. Yes, the
Hmm.
middle order, I think for me this year is going to hold the key, because if these
Correct.
guys, if the likes of Virat, Manish, and Vijay Shankar, who
Yep.
not only would should be pushed to play the role of a finisher, but
Yep.
also he should be asked to bowl a couple of overs in the middle. So yes,
Correct.
his role I think is going to be very crucial. So yeah, middle order and a couple of overs from the likes of Vijay Shankar, and maybe I would say the role of Shahbaz Nadeem Rashid Khan would be very crucial.
Interesting. Yep.
One thing,
Yes,
Yeah,
Vignesh, go ahead.
Sid, you were insisting on Shabazz Nazi making it to the playing 11, but you already
yeah,
have someone like Abhishek Sharma in the 11 who go with you the exact same thing as Shabazz Nazi, who bowls in the power play, but is also a better finisher with the bat. When you don't have anyone to bat below Mohammad Nabi, with no due respect, I mean, with no disrespect to Rashid Khan, you also need someone to finish the innings coming in at number 7. And talking about finishing the innings and giving you some overs with the ball in the power play and in the middle overs, Abhishek Sharma is already there. And what is the point of bringing in Shabazz Nadim into the mix again?
Can you
I think you're not.
hear us, Siddharth? Okay.
I
All
think
right.
you're
I
not.
think yeah, he froze. Anyways, I think what the point probably what he was making is Vignesh that I don't think he wanted to probably he wanted to remove one of the fast bowlers if the pitch conditions are slow,
Correct.
and maybe
Mhm.
then introduce the spinner. That's what he was mentioning. Again, yeah, I get your point in terms of having three spinners of and two of similar nature. I do understand your point.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Two
yeah,
similar spinners.
yeah, yeah.
It's such a
And
sad
one more
thing
thing
that
is,
somebody like Kane Williamson can't play, right?
Oh yes, it's like
but he
same
can play
with
only 4 overseas players. He can't help
Correct.
exactly.
anyone.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I,
saying.
I think I felt the same for Ajinkya Rahane when I did Delhi Capitals last week, right? So
Yeah.
it is little sad. Yeah. So yeah, so that is back. I
yeah.
think so. Vignesh was mentioning about when you asked about Shahbaz Nadeem, so he was saying that already we have Abhishek Sharma. So would it make sense to play a guy who's very similar in his craft in terms of having the same team? So but yeah, I do understand
Absolutely.
your reasons as well, because when you mentioned the UAE pitches and
Yes.
them becoming slower. So yeah, so that
And
was the
most
point.
importantly, the experience of Shahbaz Nadeem. He has been playing domestic cricket for a while
Hmm.
now, and
Hmm.
he knows, the kind of pitches that could be used in the UAE
Hmm.
conditions. So
Yep.
yes, Shahbaz Nadeem's experience could really hand SRH. And yes,
Hmm.
imagine let's say in a match in
Hmm.
which SRH just have two pacers. Let's say
Yep.
Bhuvneshwar Kumar and Siddharth Kaul, just for an example, and then
Hmm.
you have four quality spinners. I would say
Hmm.
Rashid Khan, Mohammad Nabi, Shahbaz Nadeem, and then you have Vijay Shankar as your third, as your first change
Steamer
bowler,
option.
probably
Yeah. Yeah.
spinner
Yep.
option, and then you have Abhishek Sharma also. So
Hmm.
having a spin-loaded team, I think in the as I said earlier, in the UAE conditions, could prove to be very much useful, because SRH, as I said earlier, their top order and the bowling looks pretty much fine, but the middle order
Hmm.
has to fire, and that's what we didn't see last season. They were
Yep.
too much dependent on
Yep.
Warner and Bairstow. And I think
Hmm.
Williamson, once again, he wasn't handed the captaincy this year when
Yep.
Warner was reinstated as the captain, because they weren't, because I think the setup wasn't sure of him featuring in
Yep.
the permanent 11
Yep.
throughout the season. So
Yep.
that's why handing over the captaincy back to Warner and having Bairstow, I think, who will most likely be available for the full season this time because England don't have any international commitments as of now. Could prove to be, I think, pretty much useful. Yeah.
Yep. So a couple of interesting comments from the audience. Pankaj Gupta's asking, how about Williamson or Mitch Marsh? They could also be interesting additions. But again, you can only fit in 4 foreign players, right? So that's
right. And I think that there's this one more player that I would like to mention here, who I think could have been very, very, I would say, an interesting to see in this year's IPL was Shakib Al Hasan. Had it not been for last year's ban on him, he would have been a very, very good pick for very good pick for Sunrisers.
It's an automatic choice if you ask me.
Yes, he's going to bat at number 3. We saw what he's capable of during the last year's World Cup, what he did for Bangladesh, and he's going to give you those 4 overs also. So had let's say had Shakib Al Hasan played, who knows? It could have been his tournament this time around.
Another interesting comment here, Sidharth. Virat Singh looks like a new name. What are your thoughts on him? Obviously, that's one. Second is, do you think SRH can have Kane and they can drop Nabi? That's another interesting one. So it's not a like-to-like replacement.
Absolutely not. Because Nabi provides that all-round option.
Yes. So I think you and Vignesh have seen Virat Singh. Yeah, sorry. I was saying you and Vignesh know Virat Singh in detail, right? So what do you have to say for our viewers, about him?
See, Virat Singh is an outstanding batsman. In the last 1 or 1.5 years, he has been doing well for Jharkhand, as Sidharth mentioned.
Yes.
But if he's asked to bat below number 3, it's better that he sits in the bench and let SRH let someone like Abdul Samad to bat at number 6 or number 7 to do the role of a finisher. Because Virat Singh, he's playing his first season in the IPL. And it will be better if the team management gives him his favorable position, which is the number 3. And demoting him down the order could be suicidal for both the player and the team. And Nabi, it is very difficult to replace Nabi in this SRH team, given that they don't have a quality second spinner in the lineup. And they needed some strength in the bowling department.
I think given his T20 record, I think he is just
he's an outstanding T20 player.
Yeah. Interesting comment, Rajit. Is saying that SRH is missing a solid finisher. I somewhat agree because after Manish Pandey, I do feel that there is a bit of a hole to fill. Unless Vijay Shankar takes up that role and does that for SRH, that's again that's a huge gap, if I could say so.
Talking about the role of a finisher, SRH is a team who heavily rely on Warner and Bairstow over the years. Not just Warner and Bairstow. Even before the arrival of Bairstow, SRH are reliant on Dhawan and Williamson, and before that, Dhawan and Warner.
Yes, agreed.
They somehow ensure that one of the 2 batsmen bats through. One of the 2 openers bats through, and then they have the likes of Manish Pandey, who is coming in at number 3 or number 4, and if he is it, he can be the finisher to perfection. He can do the role of an anchor and also the finisher. And if at all they needed someone to finish off the innings in the last 2-3 overs, they have Mohammad Nabi, who has done it time and time again for Afghanistan and all his other franchises.
And even Rashid Khan can also bat.
Rashid Khan is a very underrated batsman against pace bowling.
Oh yes.
And here is where I put someone like Abdul Samad. He is going to play his first ever IPL season and is one of the cleanest hitters in the Indian domestic circuit in the last 1 year maybe. He has a strike rate of nearly 120 in the Ranji Trophy, despite scoring nearly 600 runs. That shows how good he is.
Yes.
So I'm backing Mohammad Nabi to be SRH's finishers this team. And don't forget, Abhishek Sharma is also a very good batsman. Done that in the past for SRH.
So
my bold prediction for SRH would be that if somehow Warner and Bairstow can fire like last season, I think a top 4 spot is a guarantee.
So I was about to come to Mahesh. Remember in the last episode we discussed about Gale and Rahul being the most destructive opening pair. What do you have to say about these two?
Oh, these people are fantastic. No doubt about it.
Yeah.
So the thing is that till last year, I think they had Yusuf Pathan in there.
Oh, yes.
And that actually helped them. Of course, at least on paper, he appeared to be the finisher for them. He might have not done it time and again. But I think after he's been out of the squad, I think they're really struggling to find somebody to finish the game. Right, Vignesh?
Yeah, but trust me, this time Samad will step up. I was very disappointed that he wasn't bought for a huge money in the auction. I was expecting a lot of bucks for him in the auction, but SRH I don't know. They did an outstanding scouting job and got him for a cheap price. He will make a huge difference for them this season.
Yep. Interesting.
But I personally think that Abdul Samad may not get to play a lot of games, because I think having someone like he could actually miss out to Vijay Shankar, because Vijay Shankar, as we all know, he can perform that dual role of batting
No,
and bowling.
I think it will be between Abdul Samad and Virat Singh. See, Manish Pandey is someone who is capable of batting at number 3, and if you let Vijay Shankar bat below number 4, it could be like a 50-50 situation for the team. Manish Pandey is very much capable of batting at number 3 and Vijay Shankar at number 4. Both are the players' favorite position. Why would you want to disturb their favorite position and put their performances and get their team into trouble? I personally feel they will go with Abdul Samad or Virat Singh.
Yeah, I see. It's like if you have Warner, Bairstow, and Pandey at 1, 2, 3, then somehow after 3, your batting is not that strong. So having someone like Pandey at 4, who can actually play that anchor role and who can actually take the innings deep, would, according to me, would be the right option for SRH. Because
so Sid,
once
you are
you
saying
have,
that they should be spaced out? Are you trying to tell that they have to be spaced out?
absolutely,
I
because
think it
see,
makes sense.
See,
yes,
but
because somehow,
just to space out the players and fill the holes, you can't take away the strength of a particular player. It could come and bite back the team. Even
But
last
then
year, till the World Cup score was picked, Vijay Shankar batted at 3, and once the World Cup score was picked, Manish Pandey was asked to bat at 3, despite having Johnny Bairstow and David Orner at the top of the order. The top 3 of David Orner, Johnny Bairstow, and Manish Pandey is probably the best top order in the IPL.
Yep.
It is.
But I think there's one point which probably I want to bring out for everybody. So if you look at SRH from a batting perspective, right, they've always been like this. They're dependent on say Warner to give them that score, and they're very bowling heavy. If you ask me, they're very dependent on bowlers to kind of, and their scheme of thing is, even if they have 120, 130 score, they would still defend it. Right? That's how they are kind of molded as a team, because they know they have the bowling resources to kind of not just stop the flow of run, but also pick wickets. And Rashid Khan again is a key proposition there, right? So that's where their thinking relies on, because if you see all the IPL franchisees, right, they're heavy on batting. They have those batting skills. But SRH, if you ask me, they have always relied on picking wickets. And that's how their strategy is to win. And I think that's where they're heading this year as well. But given that they have Manish Pandey, that kind of balances out the middle order. But again, I agree with some of the comments from the audience as well as from you that, the finisher role is important. Suppose if, what if the top 3 or top 4 fail? Who will be taking them home, or who will be kind of, finishing the games off for them, right? So that's something which we need to kind of look out for.
And I think Vijay Shankar should be backed for that role, for the finisher role, because
that's what a lot of people
him coming at number 5 could be I think could be the most important position in that playing 11.
Yep, agreed. And I think even like Delhi Capitals, right? They could even have him as a floater. Suppose if they're chasing a huge target, sending at number 3, right? So try to get the ante.
So question here is Vijay Shankar a bit too sort of technically pure in that sense to be able to play that finisher's role and bring in a bit of a creativity that might be required to up the ante in that sense?
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I definitely rate him really high as a batsman. From like you said,
he's actually capable batsman. Vijay Shankar is actually. The perspective of Vijay Shankar for most of the people is the Netherlands Trophy final. But unfortunately, that was one bad day for him. But as a batsman, as someone who has watched him from close quarters over the last 5 or 6 years, is much more capable than that.
I think if you remember that New Zealand game when he and Raidu formed that partnership, right? I mean, I thought he batted beautifully after losing early wickets, right? So that's where the pure batsman of form of Vijay Shankar was visible to the to the audience, right? So, and that's the reason why when I say that if he could also be a possible number 3 option,
the more number 3 material, somebody who holds the entire innings together.
Yeah. I think 3 is a number which doesn't leave him, right? 3D and number 3. So Vijay Shankar is always hounded by that number. All right. Great. I think, so that was a very detailed discussion on SRH. So thank you, Sid. I think a lot of people had a lot of thoughts around it. So the Daddy's Army, Mahesh, you have a go at
So we go from Hyderabad to Chennai, right?
From Hyderabad to Chennai. And okay, let me know when you want to put up the squad on the screen.
Okay, first let me tell you, Chennai Super Kings, without a doubt, is the most consistent team in the IPL. They've always made it to the playoffs. So it's actually a great thing to even talk about them. Okay? But this time around, I have my doubts for two reasons. One, they don't have Suresh Raina. And we all know how important Suresh Raina has been for the Chennai Super Kings. Apart from the fact that he has been one of their best batsmen till date, he brings two other values to the team. One is his smart off-spin bowling. So whenever Dhoni has to get a breakthrough or stem the flow of runs, he tosses the ball to Suresh Raina. And he's done that pretty well. I mean, right through his IPL career. And then he is an outstanding fielder. We all know what a live wire he is, especially for a Chennai Super Kings team where they have to hide a lot of players. I think Suresh Raina is somebody who can be put anywhere in the field, infield or outfield, and he'll be able to do it. So that is one reason why I think that they might have a little bit of a struggle to reach the playoff. And the second is, unfortunately for the Chennai Super Kings, their practice started a little late because of some of their support staff had COVID, and I think a couple of players also had. So probably their practice may not be 100%, and they're straight away going to play the Mumbai Indians. I mean, that is like the test of fire, right? I mean, Mumbai Indians, by far the best team so far in the last 3-4 years. So it's
last
going to be a
7
little
years.
difficult. Yeah, you want to tell
Okay, you are talking to a...
I said last 7 years.
Last 7 years. So last 7 years, they've been an outstanding team, right? And to play against them, you need to have your A game on the park. So I think this could be probably another reason why the Chennai Super Kings might struggle a little bit. But if you look at it now, you can put the squad.
Okay. There you go.
Okay. If you look at the squad, there is very little change from last time around. They went to the auction this time, actually with a core team in place. And secondly, they bought very little players. Some of the players that they got, one was Piyush Chawla. Piyush Chawla was there. Josh Hazelwood was there. Okay. And Sam Curran. These were the three players that they bought in this auction, and I think that it was a very good buy. Now, on hindsight, with Harbhajan Singh not available or not going because of some personal reason, Piyush Chawla's role becomes even more important because he's an Indian spinner, and in case they need to get a Sam Curran in place of Imran Tahir, they will not feel the pinch.
Correct.
So I think that was a good buy. And we all know that Dhoni loves to have spinners around. And give him a 140 kind of a pitch, Dhoni is king. Okay. I mean, low scores probably could be the what you would see in the later part of the tournament when the pitches get dry. 130, 140, 150. Dhoni can really marshal his troops beautifully. We have seen it over the years that he's been doing this very successfully. So to me, in that respect, Chennai Super Kings will be able to get in. But initially, if they don't start off the blocks very quickly, they really struggle because they're an aging team. Injuries, fitness, form, all these things are going to come into the play. And most of these players have not played for a very long time. That includes Dhoni. He hasn't played since July last year. That's a long time. And when you're over 35, it take a longer time to get used to the wicket and all the things. So I think these are some of the aspects by which probably Chennai Super Kings might find it a little difficult this time around. So I've put a team together. Can we? So the biggest problem here was the absence of Suresh Raina at number 3. If Suresh Raina was going to play at number 3, probably I wouldn't have had Faf du Plessis there. I would have put Ambati Raidu along with Shane Watson as the opener and could have had somebody like Sam Curran in between as an all-rounder, which could have been, it would have given a lot of depth both in batting and bowling. Having said that, the Chennai Super Kings have got a good set of bowlers, especially spin bowlers. If you look at it, they've got Piyush Chawla, they've got Ravindra Jadeja, Kedar Jadhav can definitely bowl. So they've got 3 spinners, Imran Tahir. So 4 spinners in that squad, which is very good. If you look at pace, they've got Shardul Thakur and Deepak Chahar, who were pretty good last time also around, with Dwayne Bravo and Shane Watson. I'm not very sure how fit is Shane Watson to bowl 4 overs for 14 matches.
Exactly my point. Right.
I'm looking into the fact that he will be available for all 14 matches. Based on that, I put this team together. So we'll run through the team. Faf du Plessis and Shane Watson. There is another problem that the Chennai Super Kings have is that their run rate in the first 6 overs, the power play has not been the best because they don't go all out in the first 6 overs. They play a very conservative form of cricket. And then they really up the ante towards the end of the innings. So we will have to go with Faf du Plessis and Shane Watson. We need good batsmen at the top. Ambati Rayudu will bat at number 3. Dhoni has to come in at number 4. To me, Dhoni at number 4 can do a lot of good for the team. Okay. Kedar Jadhav comes at number 5. Kedar Jadhav is an important member in this team, and more so because Raina is not there. He could probably be the closest that we could have got for Raina, and that is because he can bowl his whatever you call right arm round or right arm underarm, whatever he bowls.
Below sea level.
Whatever he bowls, it's very effective. So I didn't hear that. What did he say?
I was saying below sea level.
Below sea level. But he's mighty effective. And he can come and close a game very well with his batting. So he at number 5 is good. Ravindra Jadeja has been good. So this is what forms the crux of the lower middle order. You look at 5, 6 and 7. Okay, they're very, very good players. Then you look at somebody like Deepak Char, Shardul Thakur, they can bat pretty well. Piyush Chawla has played.
Piyush Chawla is a handy batsman as well, right?
Yes, he played some very important innings. So apart from Imran Tahir, I think they've got 10 players who can put some runs on the board. They've got almost 7 bowlers. So I think in terms of composition, I thought that this is probably the best team that they could have. In case the pitch is conducive to pace bowling, they could get
Josh Hazel,
somebody like Sam Curran instead of Imran Tahir.
Or Sam Curran.
That's it.
Imagine having Sam Curran on this line in this lineup. You will have literally 11 batsmen, right?
But what I think is Sam Curran will be a definite starter for CSK because MS Dhoni. If you see MS Dhoni's captaincy ever since he took on from Rahul Dravid in 2007. He has always preferred having more left-handers in the middle order.
Interesting.
Left-handed batsmen. At the start, he had Gambhir and Virat Singh for India. And as we move forward, we had Gambhir, Virat Singh and Suresh Raina. For CSK, he has always had Mike Casey, Albi Monkel, and then Suresh Raina. Now that Suresh Raina is absent, there is no left-hander in the top 7 or top 8. With all due respect to Ravindra Jadeja, who has 3 triple centuries in first-class cricket, in T20s, I'm not sure whether he is capable of batting at number 4 or number 5 or even number 3.
No, he has to bat lower down the order. No doubt about it.
Yeah, but in that case, what they can do is they can bring in someone like Sam Curran in place of Dwayne Bravo. Instead of Dwayne Bravo. Sam Curran instead of Dwayne Bravo. Because Sam Curran gives you that left-handed option in the middle order. See, if there is no left-handed batsman in the top 6 or top 7, teams will easily get in slow left-arm spinners or leg spinners and they'll just choke the flow of runs. Shane Watson is a terrible starter against left-arm spin. Ambati Rayudu is a terrible starter against left-arm spin. MS Dhoni himself is a terrible starter against left-arm spin. And T20 is one format where matchups come into consideration a lot. And Dhoni has always preferred having left-handed batsmen.
But I have my doubt whether he'll drop Dwayne Bravo. That's something.
Bravo is his spec. No. I don't think he's going to drop.
I think in this team, if you ask me, du Plessis, Watson, and Bravo are automatic choices. Rest, I think the 4th is Imran Tahir, which might be
Sam Curran may be the one that he might.
I mean, and I'm not talking from my perspective. I'm talking from Dhoni's perspective.
Correct.
In terms of how he plays his team. So I have my doubt whether he'll.
One of the reasons why CSK splashed all their money on Sam Curran in the auction could be. They might have seen Sam Curran as a replacement for Dwayne Bravo, who has been a shadow of his whole self for the last 1 or 1.5 years. That could also be one of the reasons.
But also it could be that there are 14 matches. Bravo could get injured. So taking all that into account, he's just a backup. But I think the first choice would be Bravo for Dhoni is my take. Maybe he doesn't fire in the first 4-5 matches. He could replace him. But to begin with, I think he will go with Dwayne Bravo.
But I think even if Bravo is not in form, knowing Dhoni how he's captained all teams, in the last few years.
He'll give a long run.
Shane Watson, perfect example, right? How he was.
No, but the same Dhoni always likes to have left-hander in the top 4 or top 5.
No, I agree. I'm not saying I don't agree. I'm just saying that it's hard for a Dhoni to drop a Bravo. That's what I'm trying to say. That I doubt whether he'll drop Bravo. He might take Sam Curran in place of Imran Tahir, like I said.
Correct. That's a possibility. At least
he has Jadeja, he has Chawla, he has Kedar Jadhav to bowl those overs. But I doubt whether he'll drop.
Initially, they believe that the pitches in the UAE will be conducive to pace bowling. So he could take Curran and probably drop Imran Tahir and get Imran Tahir towards the second part of the tournament. Probably.
Yep.
See, but with dropping Imran Tahir, if you see Imran Tahir, he was the purple cap winner in the last IPL. And even though he's nearing 40, he has been the world's best spin bowler in the last 1 year, with no disrespect to Rashid Khan. Even in the CPL, he ended up with 12 or 13 wickets. I'm not sure. He is someone who can give you control in the middle overs, who won't let the opposition score in the middle overs. Correct. If someone is offering you that, why will you drop him? And Dwayne Bravo in the last 2 years, MS Dhoni himself has come to the post-match presentation and stated clearly that our bowlers should improve in the death bowlers. And Dwayne Bravo gives you a maximum of 1 innings each season with the bat.
Interesting.
And that is why I felt Sam Curran could come in place of Dwayne Bravo and he could be used as a floater.
Yes, Sidharth.
Yes, I have a question for Mahesh. So, Mahesh, assuming the fact that, we just talked about Shane Watson. So, we don't know, whether he would be able to perform that dual role for CSK. So, let's say, assuming the fact, there's a match in which, we have Shane Watson who is injured. So, who do you open, then with Faf du Plessis? Is it Murli Vijay who then comes in? And then
I don't
Sam
think
Curran coming in, or what is going to be your option?
I think I would push Ambati Rayudu up and include Sam Curran in between at number 3. Okay. Yep. And then have the remaining team. Dhoni has to bat at number 4 for me. Okay, because Dhoni, anything below 4 won't work for me. Dhoni needs to be there because he'll be able to control the innings much better at number 4.
And one more thing is Shane Watson. CSK never saw Shane Watson as a bowler. They have been seeing him only as a batsman. In the last 2 years, apart from the 2008 season opener against Mumbai Indians, I can't recollect when Shane Watson bowled. And last year, he didn't bowl a single ball in the whole IPL. CSK was
last year, 21 ball.
Yeah. I think Watson is not being considered as a all-rounder here. He's more of an opener who can take the innings through. That's what he's been looked upon as.
And Watson, if he crosses the power play, the opposition is done and dusted. It doesn't matter if you're Rashid Khan or if you're Bumrah, the opposition is done and dusted.
Correct, exactly, right. Interesting. Thanks, Mahesh. Really good analysis there. CSK is always a team which, so many.
Yeah, we can discuss till the cows come home.
Yeah. All right. So let's go to our Mumbaiker Yogesh.
Oh, lovely.
My favorite team.
Probably the easiest team to talk about, or maybe the toughest. You take your pick.
Yeah, exactly, right. So you could close your eyes and select a Mumbai 11 with the riches that they have in their lineup.
and the riches that they have is not just a way of speaking about the ownership, really, but the riches in terms of the talent and the experience they have. So I just think Mumbai looks to be one of the strongest teams, not just on paper, but also backed by the performances, right?
Sure.
They've been consistently.
You want me to put up the squad on screen?
Yeah, why not? Not?
All right.
They've been winning consistently over the last few years, 2015, 17, 19, and what that has done.
13 also.
Yeah. Coming back from that sort of a legacy. So consistently sort of, winning, and one of the most successful franchisee in the entire IPL. Also one of the strongest fan bases. So a lot working for this team. And what is one of the most important thing for this team is the core group of player is still sort of the same. People who kind of, settled into their role and are growing beautifully in those respective roles. And, they don't have too many concerns. Many teams have sort of, if you look at these 3 strands on the screen, many teams have 2 parts which are really strong and one probably that looks a bit, not that strong. For instance, we spoke a lot about Sunrisers Hyderabad, and, there's a kind of reliance on bowling to keep them into the game. But Mumbai, in that sense, actually ticks all 3 boxes and does that quite solidly.
Yes.
If you just look at batting, I think Rohit Sharma, one of the most successful batsmen in the entire franchise, let alone in the Mumbai squad. He leads it, and what an astute captain he is. Many people are actually saying, is there merit in Rohit Sharma actually captaining India in the limited overs? But that's another topic, really. But what both want to say is, here's a man who's able to get the best out of his team, out of his resources. And needless to say, they've also built a really strong team. So this year they let go of 10 players, but the 15 players were kind of retained. And whoever they had to buy were sort of strategic buys in that sense, and people who actually added real solid meat to the lineup. So looking at batting now, that people like Rohit Sharma, Surya Kumar Yadav, they've sort of become really familiar with their roles and how they kind of contribute in the batting sense of things. Is the middle order that I felt had a little bit of so sort of, it's not the Virat Kohli kind of a batsman there, or a Steve Smith kind of a batsman there, but then Rohit Sharma kind of does that for them, leading from the front, playing at the top, and then well supported by people like Quinton de Kock, and Surya Kumar Yadav, like the Mumbai stalwart as such. Where they might have slight problem is would you play as number 5 batsman in the sense or do you have that number 5 just as strong, right? Now going into the middle part, and I feel this is where Mumbai is at their strongest. A team that's really strong at the core. Many people will love to have one really good all-rounder. They've got three who can play back to back, and when I present the team, I'll probably talk about that. But here I think one new buy for them this year has been Sheffield Rutherford, and then you have names like Anukul Roy and Prince Balwant Rai Singh coming in. We pretty much know if Mumbai were given a choice, which are the 2 or 3 all-rounders they might actually pick up to play. Now, going on to the bowling side of things, obviously a fantastic lineup here. Just with Bumrah, we know what a fantastic all-round bowler he is in all formats of the game. So much so in the T20 game as well. He's supported by people like Trent Bolt, and then really good Australian fast bowlers, Nathan Coulter-Nile, James Pattinson, Mitchell McLanagan, that way. Now, in the spin side, I think they've got Rahul Chahar, but there's not too much after that in department, which seems to be the only weak link. If so, if one way to call it a weak link, and I don't think that's too much of a weak link. And I'll tell you why it is that, because there's an all-rounder in Krunal Pandya who can actually come in and pitch in those 4 overs for you as a spinner in his own right. So now with that, a strong lineup made stronger is how I would look at what Mumbai Indians have done with this year's IPL squad. Can you have the team then? Playing 11.
All right. There you go.
Anybody has any arguments over Rohit Sharma opening the batting at all? At all. All right. Sensing the silence there, we know who is the best man to do that.
Let me come back to you with some stats. Then I'll talk to you. let me cook up some stats, and let me play some cricket on Excel sheet. Then I'll come back to you.
Perfect. Good on you. Then now, one of the things that when I was selecting this team, I was thinking of is, do I play Quinton de Kock as an opener along with Rohit Sharma? And that wouldn't have left too much room for me to play somebody like Chris Lynn. But I thought, looking at Chris Lynn's absolutely phenomenal T20 record, it might be worth giving him a shot along with Rohit Sharma, get them to open, and then back up with the experience of Quinton de Kock, and how long he's actually been playing cricket for South Africa as well. So he's got settled into that role. So he's somebody who can adjust between playing for number 1 or 2. Or playing at number 3. So I'm sending him at number 3 in company of Surya Kumar Yadav, somebody who's again, grown in that role over years. Now, one person who actually comes in new or newish in the squad is Vishan Kishan, the young talent, but he's showed us the glimpse of what he can do last year. So that looks like a very good batting order, slightly stronger on the top part, slightly top heavy, but not too weak either. So no sort of gaping holes in that order as such. Now backed up by 3 phenomenal all-rounders in this format of the game. We all know how destructive Hardik Pandya and Kieron Pollard by themselves could be, and many teams who struggle for that finisher's role, these 2 people can finish a game for any side in the world, let alone just Mumbai Indians. And recently, we've seen what a phenomenal batting form Kieron Pollard is in. And I think some of this some of these people who've actually been playing recently is going to actually help Mumbai a lot, because
Correct.
and the difference between teams that start well and not so well is probably going to be the players who had an exposure of playing real games, and
Good
this is
point.
where I think
Yep.
Mumbai has good advantage. Now
Yep.
there are a couple of worries, not to say that there are none, and the
Yep.
worries are to actually see how is Hardik Pandya actually going to stand up during a game, and
Hmm.
how is Jasprit Bumrah actually going to stand up during a game, because we all know that they've recently come back from injuries to their backs. So
Yep.
can they go sort of full throttle right from game one, or will they
Yep.
take some time to sort of um,
Yep.
be at their best, so to speak. But
Hmm.
overall, I think really solid core there, and then
Yep.
followed by spin and Rahul Chahar. Now Mumbai Indians have started trusting Rahul Chahar a lot.
Hmm.
Last year he played 13 games out of overall 16. He picked up 13 wickets, and he
Hmm.
was fairly economical. Everybody kind of knows how skillful he is as a leg spinner.
Yes.
And what needs to be seen is what happens when he's put under pressure. Now,
Yep.
that means that, people like Krunal Pandya or people like Karan Pollard or
Yep.
Hardik Pandya might have to come in and share that bowling burden. But if
Hmm.
you give them even a couple of overs each, I think, this team will be able to manage their bowling resources quite well as well.
Hmm.
Now, finally coming to, Jasprit Bumrah, about whom I'm not going to talk much, but Trent Bolt. And with Trent Bolt, we know how skillful he is. He's really good at executing his Yorkers, etc.
Yep.
But if you're playing in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and Sharjah, right,
Yep.
as an opening bowler, can Trent Bolt be just as effective as he is down under in New Zealand or
Hmm.
on some of the faster seaming wickets as such? We
Yes.
saw in England also.
Yes.
There were occasions when people were able to kind of play him through the line and actually work with his
Yes.
not so fast pace and score runs of him. So that could be an area wherein if he starts giving away too many runs, Mumbai Indians might then consider bringing in somebody like James Pattinson, who's all about pace, or Nathan Coulter-Nine as such. So
Yes.
overall, a very solid, balanced unit with very strong backup options too.
Hmm. So interesting,
I
Yogesh.
have a
So a
question
lot
for
of
Yogesh.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, Siddharth. Yeah. Okay.
So
Yeah.
I think everybody has questions for Yogesh. Let's go one by one.
can you just
Siddharth, go.
put the playing 11 on the screen?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Fine.
So
Okay. Vignesh, you go
Yogesh,
first. Then
So,
Siddharth, you can
uh,
continue.
uh,
you see
I
this
just want to
playing
know one
11,
thing.
you have
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just one minute, guys. Let's not fight over it. Let Vignesh go first. I know everybody has a point to make.
I think everything will be the same thing. I'm not
Yeah.
sure. So if you
Okay.
see the bowling unit, you have 10 Bolt, you have Jasprit Bumrah, you have Rahul Chahar, you have Krunal Pandya, and you have Hardik Pandya. So which means you are having Hardik Pandya as your fifth bowler, right?
Yeah.
In that case, what could be done is they may drop Chris Lynn, make Quinton de Kock open the batting. He is a
Hmm.
out and out opener who has not batted at number three. And in
Yeah.
place of Chris Lynn, they may bring in someone like Nathan Coulter, who also offers you something with the ball in the death
Yep.
overs. Which
Yep.
means
Yeah. Yeah.
you have 10 volt, you have Jasprit Bumrah, you have Rahul Chahar, you have Coulter, and then you have Krunal Pandya. If at all you wanted a sixth bowling option, you may go to Hardik Pandya in that case. And Karen
Yep.
Pollard, even though he bowls in other leagues, he
Hmm.
never bowled for Mumbai Indians in the last 3 or 4 years. That
Hmm.
is one thing that was
Yeah. 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 Agree.
Yeah.
since the
So,
beginning.
coincidentally,
And
Vignesh, when
one second, and we all know that Chris Lynn is not that comfortable against spin bowling, especially when you're playing the tournament in UAE. I don't know
Hmm.
what impact he can have. Recently,
Hmm.
this EPL he averaged somewhat around 10 through the
Hmm.
tournament and was struggling to put that on ball against the spinners.
Yep.
So, coincidentally, Vignesh, that's exactly the team I had. So I created sort of, team A, team B, and then settled for this one. So the
And
first team that I
me and Mahesh forced Yogesh to put Chris Lynn by giving our input. Are you not taking Lynn? Oh
But
my
I still
God.
stick to the fact that Chris Lynn should open.
Yeah.
I
Opening
mean,
show.
if he's flopped in the West Indies, there's more reason for him to succeed in UAE.
Hmm.
But then it is weakening your bowling attack, and
Yeah, I
it is
think
weakening
fair point there, Mahesh. I agree with because a lot of the audience comments also shows that the bowling is becoming weaker with playing too many batsmen on top. Yep.
Yeah, now
And
what
Quinton de
can
Kock has
happen?
never batted at number 3 in his life.
So
Yeah.
my thing is that when Malinga got injured or Malinga decided not to play, instead of going for somebody like James Pattinson, they should have tried to look out for a spinner. Okay.
No, but Mumbai have always opted to play two overseas players in their playing 11. Last year it used to be Malinga and Mitchell McLennan. Since they have Bumrah and Hardik Pandya as the Indian pacers, they always went in with two overseas pacers. So for a team with two overseas pacers in their playing 11, it's not bad to have a couple of more backups in that department. And regarding
also the reason why they would play that kind of a lineup was because they were playing at the Wankhede, where there was good carry. So it was easier for them to keep these fast bowlers. Now, when you're going to UAE, it's a completely different surface that they're going to play. They should have taken a couple of more spinners. At the Wankhede, these two spinners would have been good enough. Chahar and Krunal Pandya would have been able to bowl out their 8 overs and things could have got good. But now going to UAE, my suggestion is that they should have taken another spinner, who could have played at the 11. Could have been an all-rounder also, that's good enough. But I think they're going to miss a spinner at the fag end of the tournament.
Yeah, they could have gone in with someone like Qais Ahmed, but I still feel they have someone like Anukul Roy who could come in handy against CSK, who don't have any left-handed batsmen. Even in the last season, whenever they needed one more extra spinner, they went in with Anukul Roy or Jayant Yadav, depending on the composition of the opposition.
So, I mean, looking at the long tournament that we have ahead, we know that most teams will actually bring in a change or two. And so what we saw actually on our teams, and I think this must be true for all the teams we saw today, is that you might have 8 or 9 players of that actually playing, and there will always be 2 or 3 players, or maybe, most teams will say if they can get away with doing just 1 or 2 changes, they've probably got a very good lineup settled in what they're supposed to do. So, I mean, fair point, actually, somebody like Chris Lynn might actually not play, and you might have Nathan Coulter-Nine coming in and actually, reinforcing the bowling unit. You may have those changes happening. You may actually see some other people actually coming in and playing in that middle order as well. But I think, that's the excitement of IPL, isn't it? That with each passage of sort of, tournament, you see slightly different problems emerge, people trying to then sort out those problems slightly differently. And also, depending on the team you're playing, you might say, okay, I might need people who are now going bang, 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 as against people who can hold their roles, etc. So a lot to look forward to. But all I'd say is, I think Mumbai Indians have the wherewithal to deal with all challenges. Probably a niggle or two in terms of not having a strong second spinning option, but that's about that.
Interesting. I mean, there's one more good point by Abhishek. Who will bowl at the depth alongside Bumrah? Bolt may not be the, it has to be either Coulter-Nine or. I was just thinking. I mean, this is my thought. Is Bolt an automatic choice, or would McLanagan be?
They might go for McLanagan.
Well, I'm just thinking he has done well for Mumbai in the last few years, and I think that could be another interesting option. Or if you are dropping a Lynn. Instead of a batsman play McLanagan, that could be another choice because he bowls those cutters and that could be effective in the UAE. So,
and they will go. They'll definitely go in with 2 overseas players, 2 overseas fast bowlers, and one of them will be Coulter-Nine. The battle will be for the other one. Will it be either 10 Bolt or Mitchell McLennan? Be like that in all likelihood. Because Mumbai Indians, the moment they got a Coulter-Nine in the IPL auction. In between the auction, Akash Ambani came to some random presentation and he insisted that Coulter-Nine was their number 1 target so that they can have Coulter-Nine and Lasith Malinga along with Jasprit Bumrah bowled in the death overs. If they had invested in someone who is going to be their long-term option for this bowling, I don't know. They may not even think of dropping him.
Interesting. All right. So unfortunately, Sidharth had to leave because he has some net issues. But the last but not the least, and I say this with the greatest of respect for RCB, and we have Vignesh who will do RCB. So let me know when you want me to put up the squad on screen, or you want to talk about it.
I deliberately wanted KKR and RCB for this show. So talking about the RCB, usually they finish in the bottom half, but this season I genuinely feel that they have the team to make it to the top 4. Every season before the start of the tournament, they might look like a good team, but when the tournament starts, it will be a completely different case. See, last season RCB had some issues, not just last season. In the past, RCB had the same issues. They didn't have a proper death bowler. They had to rely on the likes of Mohammad Siraj and Umesh Yadav to do the job for them in the death. And then, apart from Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers, they didn't have a good top order batsman over the years. They were heavily reliant on both these batsmen. But this season, what they have done is, in the auction, first of all, they retained Moeen Ali, which is actually a very good decision. Because last season, he played really well for RCB, and he is someone who tonks the spinners and take them to cleaners whenever they come on to bowl. And with the season happening in UAE, Moeen Ali will be very handy with the bat, and it's good that they somehow managed to retain him. They went for Chris Morris, who could be the option in the death overs for them, and then they went for an experienced Darren Fitch, who not only opens the batting, he is also a consistent T20 batsman and can also assist Virat Kohli with his inputs for captaincy. These are the main buys they bought in the auction, and the addition of Adam Zampa instead of Kane Richardson was a masterstroke to me, given the tournament is happening in UAE. They have an outstanding overseas spinner in their ranks. So this is their squad. Can you just put the playing 11?
All right.
So RCB's playing 11 is more or less set. Aaron Finch will open the batting with Devdutt Padikkal. It's a given that Devdutt Padikkal will open the batting because RCB have insisted on having AB de Villiers as the keeper. Devdutt will be playing his very first IPL. He has been an impressive batsman in the domestic circuit in the last 1 year. No batsman has scored more runs than him in the Vijayasari and Syed Mustaq Ali Trophy. And it's not about scoring runs, it's about the way he scored runs. It was outstanding to watch him bat in those two tournaments. And it's very good that RCB are going to back him. As Abhishek is saying, I'm also very much looking forward to play Devdutt Padikkal in this IPL.
Exactly.
Finch and Devdutt Padikkal will give you younger experienced opening combination. Finch is someone who has proved himself for Australia, but in the IPL, he hasn't lived up to the expectations. But he has an outstanding record in UAE, and this season could be Finch's best year in the IPL. And number 3 and number 4, Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers. The name alone speaks itself about the player. And at number 5, they have Moeen Ali. Moeen Ali is someone, as I said, is very good against spin, and with the tournament happening in UAE, he could come in handy. Not only with the bat, even with the ball, he can give you like 2 or 3 overs match in every single match. And then there is Gurkirat Man Singh. People might ask where is Shivam Dube, but the main reason why I went with Gurkirat Man Singh is, there you go, Abhishek.
There you are.
The main reason why I went in with Gurkirat over Shivam Dube is, Shivam Dube is a capable batsman, number 7, but at number 6, at times you need a proper batsman instead of, I don't know whether I can use this word here, bits and pieces batsman. I'm very sorry, I don't know whether I can use this word.
Oh my God, you have opened a can of worms now.
Gurkirat is someone who can be trusted upon with the bat. He has done that even in the limited matches he has played for KXIP, and even in RCB's last match last season, he delivered with the bat, and I feel he could be a better option at number 6 compared to Shivam Dube, who's more of a number 7 or number 8. And then you have Chris Morris, their go-to bowler in the death overs, and we all know what Chris Morris is capable of with the bat. Even though he has struggled to repeat the same thing with the bat in the last season, if he comes good, RCB will have a solid finisher in Morris. And then you have Washington Sundar. That spot of Washington Sundar could be the one which will be rotated. It could be rotated between Washington Sundar, Pawan Negi, and Shahbaz Ahmed, depending on what the opposition is. If the opposition is loaded with right-handers, they could go in with someone like Shahbaz Ahmed or Pawan Negi, and if the opposition is loaded with lefties, they can go with Washi. And Washi, we all know that he is a brilliant bowler in the power play. And then there is Umesh Yadav, who has done an outstanding job with the new ball for RCB over the years. But one thing which RCB should refrain from doing is bowling Umesh Yadav in the death, especially now that they have Chris Morrison and Navdeep Saini to take care of the face. Because Umesh Yadav, whenever he has bowled in the death, he has considered at, say, 15 to 16 runs an over. Even last season, he almost gave away 25 runs in 1 over.
With Dhoni, I know that over.
And Navdeep Saini was the find of last IPL to me. Last IPL, he was a very raw bowler. But ever since he made his debut for India, he has improved by leaps and bounds. And he has started to nail in the Yorkers perfectly. It is something to look forward for a death bowler, and I'm pretty sure you'll be one of the leading wicket takers in the tournament. And then you have Yuzvendra Chahal, by far the best spinner or the best bowler RCB has ever had in their history. If someone is going at an economy of 7 or 7.2 at Chinnaswamy, which is a nightmare for the bowlers, Chahal, hats off, man.
I think not just the economy rate, but even the ability to pick wickets in the middle overs. I think that's
he's someone who's not afraid to toss the ball up even if you sit.
Exactly right. So that's I mean, hats off to Chahal, because I really love him as a character, as a spin bowler, and he's ready to take that challenge of the batsman trying to go after him, which is a very, very important quality as a spinner, I feel, because nowadays if you see, spin bowling is becoming a sort of a dying art, especially in the T20 format, where people are just bowling darts and just bowling quicker through the air. But Chahal brings in a lot of variety, a lot of interesting things to his bowling, and that typical delivery which he bowls wide of the batsman and tries to entice him to kind of swing across the line or hit through the line or something like that, right? And then they generally get holed out in the deep. So that's a really, really good quality that he has, in terms of tossing the ball up. So Chahal, I feel he's the key man in the RCB lineup. I feel that he's the one who will dictate the way the bowling goes around him. That's what I feel.
Since you talked about him bowling wide and getting the batsman caught at deep, if he's doing that at Chinnaswamy, which is a small venue, just imagine what he can do in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, where the wickets are much bigger than Chinnaswamy.
He makes the batsman reach for the ball, no? So
correct.
That is why he'll never be able to control the ball.
Exactly.
Okay. So for left-handed batsman will come around.
Go ahead.
I have a question for you. So you're saying your death bowlers are going to be Chris Morris and Navdeep Saini.
Yeah.
So for some reason, if Chris Morris is not fit and Navdeep Saini is not fit, who is your backup death ball bowler?
I would go with Isru Udana instead of Chris Morris.
Interesting choice. Interesting.
Not Dale Steyn, but Isru Udana. Yeah, he's a left-arm bowler and who has a lot of variations up his sleeve, and he's also a very good death bowler. But the reason why I'm not going with Dale Steyn is Dale Steyn, like Yogesh Yadav, is more of a bowler who can bowl up front. With the new ball.
Okay.
If Dale Steyn manages to do what he does with the new ball, then the opposition is doomed. But unfortunately, they can play only 4 overseas players, and sadly, Dale Steyn misses out.
So, if you had to pick up between Udana and Moeen Ali, you would go with Moeen Ali, or initially?
I will go in with Moeen Ali definitely, because
just hold your thought. 1 minute.
Yeah.
Initially, the pitches are supposed to be a little more quicker, a little more better. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe as the tournament progresses, it's believed to be lower and slower. So, do you think initially it makes sense to play somebody like Isuru?
See, it makes some sense to play someone like Isru Udana, but not at the expense of Moeen Ali. If you replace him with, if you replace Moeen Ali with Isru Udana, RCB's age-old problem of not having batsmen after AB de Villiers will occur again. Moeen Ali provides that stability in the middle order, which they don't have anyone doing in their squad, and that is the main reason why I'm going in with Moeen Ali at number 5.
So we have got Finch at 1, Virat at 3, AB de Villiers at 4. Together they're going to bat 15 overs any which ways.
But that's what they've been doing.
Overs, then they're not.
But that's what they have done.
Job.
But that's what RCB have been doing all these years. They have batsmen for 14 to 15 overs, and they literally don't have anyone for the last 5. In T20s, you need to boss around for 20 overs to win a match. Bossing around for 15 overs.
I agree with you. But Moeen Ali, Vignesh, is not a power hitter.
Oh, he is a power hitter.
I haven't seen him doing anything outstanding in IPL.
Because he has got chances. He came to the IPL last season.
See, the problem is that all these guys come with reputation that he can clear the ground. But I haven't seen him, setting the stadium on fire.
He will. Mahesh.
Moeen Ali came into the IPL last year, and the limited opportunities.
I'm trying to get a conversation out of Vignesh.
Moeen Ali came into the IPL last year, and he was not preferred at the start. They went with someone like Colin de Grandhomme at the start, and then I forgot who was the other overseas middle order batsman they went in with. When Moeen Ali got his chance, he really set the tournament on fire. I still remember him taking Sunil Narine and Kuldeep Yadav to cleaners in one of the match. When RCB scored nearly 230, he scored a 65 of 30 balls, and then in another match he scored a 40 of 22 balls. And he is someone, irrespective of the team he plays for, whenever he sees a spinner, he just he just cut loose.
Okay,
Even
what about Chris Morris?
Chris Morris will be their go-to death bowler. There is no doubt about it.
What about his batting? I think he's reasonably okay with the bat as well, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, he is not reasonably okay with the bat. In the last 1 or 1.5 years, his batting has regressed a bit. So you can't trust someone like Chris Morris to do the job for you at number 5 or number 6. The best he can bat is at number 7, not above that. If you
okay, so do you think that he's worth 10 crores? I'm asking a very controversial question now.
See, I'm not someone who's supposed to answer that. I'm not going to answer that question here. I'm not at all going to answer that question here. He might or he may not, but I'm not going to answer that question here. I'm really sorry. I know where you're coming, but I'm not going to open up.
Okay. All right, Yogesh, what's your query for Vignesh for his team?
No, I just wanted to support the theory of Moeen Ali at 5. It's just, I think it's a great choice. Also coming from the recent form that he's shown, and a little bit of confidence from Owen Morgan seems to have done a world of good for him. And I think he's, like you were saying, sight of a spinner channelizes the inner Sidhu in him, and I think he's a great choice and something that RCB will benefit from. My only concern with RCB has been that they concede way too many runs that even the strongest of their batting lineups isn't able to sort of chase down. And if they can work on that aspect, then they should be in the contest.
Going by their Instagram video which they posted, I think they're working on that. So
yeah, the Yorkers.
They didn't have bowlers who can control the flow of runs in the death overs, but this time they don't have one, but they have 2 bowlers who are capable of doing that.
Vignesh, what do you think about AB de Villiers' form? He hasn't
played cricket
for a long time.
Even MS Dhoni hasn't played cricket for a long time. In fact, MS Dhoni hasn't played cricket more than AB de Villiers did. Dhoni played his last professional match on July 10th, 2019. But AB de Villiers has played in the South African Domestic League, in which he did well. He played in the Big Bash
League.
How
was his form? That's what I'm trying to find out. How was his form?
See, regarding the form of a player going into this IPL will be very tough because all the players are coming into the tournament after a 5 or 6 months straight.
So, absolutely, no doubt about that.
But till that, whenever AB de Villiers stepped out on the field, he has done well. Even in the recently concluded 3TC, we could see the glimpses of AB de Villiers, and it's still the same.
So
AB de Villiers
is
very little. Yeah. See, I'm not saying he's in good form. He hasn't lost touch. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. He's a class player. If he can middle the ball, that's good enough for RCB. Because he plays a very important role for RCB, right?
Correct.
Along with
somebody was asking Mahesh, will he be? Vignesh, will he be willing to keep wickets? ABD.
Yeah, RCB have confirmed that ABD will be their wicket keeper the whole season.
Who's the other wicket keeper they have?
Apart from AB de Villiers, they only have Parthiv Patel and Josh Fielding. Both are openers. And even AB de Villiers has been the wicket keeper in all the practice matches which RCB are playing.
Interesting.
So
I think I agree with.
Has no role this time.
Now that they have Devdutt Padikkal, I don't see Parthiv Patel playing in the first few matches. They will go in
playing Parthiv as an opener.
He has to play as an opener.
Yeah. I think one fair point that Mahesh made was I think I'll be tempted to get in Isuru Udana because he's a bit of a T20 expert, if you ask me, in terms of bowling. But again,
that would be the question.
Yeah. So Moeen Ali, again, that's a very what do you say, controversial.
It's a very subjective thing.
Right?
You like him. He's a good player, no doubt about that.
No, it's not about liking. It's about what RCB need. They need a batsman at number 5.
He lends a lot of balance.
The thing is, you don't have anyone apart from Moeen Ali to do the job at number 5. I don't know. Shivam Dube, according to me, is not good enough to bat.
It's still young days for him, early days for him, right? So it's not a automatic choice. Disappointing that Dale Steyn misses out.
Also will give you 2 or 3 overs every match.
Yeah, and I was saying now there's a third big name that we are looking at missing out. So after Rahane, after Williamson, now it's Dale Steyn, right? So that's the nature of the format and the game and the tournament, right? So And I think I remembered Harsha Bogle's comment on the Dale's 10. In white ball cricket, it's like watching a caged lion inside a zoo. So that's how he sees him, because white ball cricket, it's slightly different than what he was in Test cricket. So yeah, but I do agree. In terms of the current setup, it's difficult for him to even find a spot unless RCB want to play him as a proper death bowler, which is difficult. Yeah, Yogesh.
If we've kind of wrapped up speaking about serious cricketing affairs at RCB, a question about the video we saw on Instagram, right, with the bowlers firing at that lines and stumps. How many of you were actually worried that was too risky a thing to do? That the ball, once it hits the objects, could have ricocheted in any direction and caused an injury or something?
Yeah, they were too close to the wicket, right? All of the other players.
So that was a test. That was a test by Virat Kohli that everybody has to have good reflexes. So they're supposed to catch the ball if it comes their way, right?
But I just thought, if it had injured somebody, I think they would have been criticized massively for that.
Interesting.
It seemed like an error in judgment for me.
Vignesh, you're on mute. Sorry. Yes.
Thankfully, nothing such happened.
Yeah,
thankfully, but then I think more people might try something like that, and I just didn't feel that was the right thing to actually showcase. I know it looked fun on Instagram, just not safe enough, because also consider the fact that obviously the ball's not supposed to skid off somebody's hands, but when you have something like that going on, people sitting on two sides of the pitch, sitting really, not in field position, so you're not completely aware of what's going to happen.
Yeah, agree.
Just thought the risk is many for creating some.
Very good observation.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, if you are a youngster watching it, please don't try.
Don't try to do that.
All right, great guys. I think we had a lot of fun discussions today.
Yeah.
And before we finish off, I would like to know what all the 4 teams which will make it to the playoffs according to you guys.
Mahesh, go first. Or Yogesh, go first. Okay. Yogesh,
I mean, I'd say there are 2 obvious choices that nobody kind of contests too much about. But 2 teams that I'm hoping to see in the finals now are RCB and RR. Rajasthan Royals. I feel Rajasthan Royals looks to be a strong choice to make it to last 4 this year at least.
Mahesh.
For me, Delhi Capitals will definitely be one of the teams that I believe will make it to the last 4. Okay. Mumbai Indians, looking at what they have, they should go through to the last 4. I would be very surprised if RCB does not make it this time.
Yeah.
If they don't make it this time, then they're going to have a big problem. Okay. The toss is going to be between 2 teams, Chennai Super Kings and Kolkata Knight Riders. One of them should go through. Kings 11, I still think that they're a little away. I think even Sunrisers Hyderabad might struggle.
All right. So mine is RCB, Delhi Capitals, Sunrisers Hyderabad, and 4th one is a bit tough, but obviously has to be Mumbai Indians, I think.
So we are not agreeing on only one team. You are saying Sunrisers Hyderabad, I am saying Chennai Super Kings.
Yep. I feel
or
CSK,
Kolkata Knight Riders. I've got a little bit more of leeway. I said either of them, right?
Yep. What about you?
I'm going with KKR. Not in order. I'm going with KKR. I'm going with RCB. I'll go in with Delhi Capitals. And then the 4th one will be a toss-up between Mumbai Indians and then Kings 11 Punjab.
I'm surprised you didn't pick Mumbai first and you left it for the last.
So Vignesh, we both are thinking alike.
No, what I feel is Mumbai, the top 3 are more or less set for me, and then the 4th will be battle between the net run rate. And I feel Mumbai, KXIP and SRH, all 3 could have a small chance of making it.
You know what,
and,
I think this question can be answered with a little bit more of conviction after everybody plays 2-2 matches. We will know the fitness, we will know the form, we will know the wicket. It becomes relatively easy. Right now, we're looking at the names and deciding whether this team will make it or that team will make it. We have no idea how their fitness is. Match fitness and going to the gym are 2 different things to begin with.
Thank you. Well said.
We could still play it on Excel sheets and figure out who can win.
Yeah, that can be book cricket if you want. But to play at 40 degrees centigrade, those things are going to be very different. So maybe 2 weeks down the line, I think we can sit down and we can put our 4. But the 4 teams that I said is more of a wish list than anything else.
Right. Interesting. Yeah, lots of answers coming in. CSK MI finals. Oh, wow. That's the El Clasico of the IPL. Like everybody wants
But
to watch.
unfortunately, I don't think that will happen this time.
Likewise. I don't think it's gonna happen. Actually,
one of the 2 teams is not going to qualify to win.
The more I think of it, I don't think CSK actually will have the legs to get into the finals. But
yeah,
who knows?
Are you doubting Dhoni's fitness?
Yeah, that's the only thing. I mean, if they have to make it, it has to be Dhoni's captaincy that needs to take them through. It's a very strange way of putting it, but I think it is his captaincy that give him a 140 kind of a wicket.
Yeah.
I think he'll pull it off. 9 out of 10 times he'll pull it off.
If it's turning, if he has those spinners who are bowling well, yes, definitely.
See, his spinners I think will all be okay by the end of the tournament. They'll all be bowling well. Only thing is that the wicket should be conducive to his kind of. See, he's a master when it's a dust bowl. Let's agree to that. Give him a dust bowl. Give him 4 spinners. He can defend 120 also.
Interesting. All right, guys. Thank you for your comments, and thanks Vignesh once again for joining. And we will continue our midweek shows during the IPL. And like we discussed last time around, we will not disturb our fan base when they are watching the game. So we do understand that even we want to watch the games. So we will keep doing these episodes, and now we'll start discussing what's actually happening in the middle. The action that happened in the last few games during the IPL. So look forward to catching up once again. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Vignesh.
Thank you very much.
All right. So we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.